Sally Foley-Lewis, Sally fast-tracks productivity. She'll empower you to be strong, authentic and confident in your role. Known as a skill builder and insight igniter with a wicked sense of humour. She's pairing 15 plus years experience with exceptional qualifications. She's inspired people from many industries, gyms in Germany, to shipbuilding, the oil and gas industries in the Middle East, and community organisations in Outback Australia. So please make Sally welcome.
Thank you. Is this familiar? Hi, I'm Sally. Have you got a business card? Have you got a business card? Can I have your business card? Let's swap business cards. Have you got a business card? Yeah, nice chatting. Have you got a business card? Excuse me, have you got a business card? Let's just do the business card thing. That's rich, isn't it? And deep and meaningful and valuable. Yeah? Or, what about this? Not necessarily a networking event, but an internal event. Hi, I'm the new EA over at the Zomia branch, and I just, want to come and say hello. My name's Sally. What's your boss? Because mine's, a bit of a pushover, a bit of a teddy bear, and I've been able to sort of come in late and leave early, and the stationery supply, I'm in charge of it, so I get to order anything I want, and then like the people I work with though, really, is it really like that here? Can you tell me something about what's like? Have you ever experienced that? Yeah. Is that appropriate? How are you feeling right now? A bit uncomfortable? Thank you for volunteering. I love the word voluntold. I heard that just recently. So please feel free to use that. You want to voluntold someone to do something. Isn't it brilliant? Yeah. So how was yesterday? Really good? Have you come to the event and met someone yesterday morning and now you're kind of like the EAN buddy for the rest of the time? By that laugh, you know what I mean. Yeah. Look, I'm with you. When it comes to networking, sometimes I find I've got to be in the mood. Yeah? Yeah. And if you haven't already can tell, I'm a little bit extroverted. Off the scale. Yeah. But I even have to be in the mood. Sometimes I just don't really want to have to go and don't even want to get dressed up. I don't want pajamas. I work from home, baby. But I don't want to have to get dressed up. I don't necessarily want to have to go and do the small talk. Yeah? Yeah. One of the big blessings about being on your agenda, first thing, second day, is that you've already had the opportunity to at least meet a few people, haven't you? Yeah. Have you met more than 2 people? Yes. Have you had a really deep conversation about your role or what your expectations are from being here? Yeah. Okay. Could you all please stand up? Damn it, we have to do stuff. Or can't I just sail through this day, All right, what I'd love for you to do is if you're sitting next to your conference buddy who you feel really safe and secure with, grab them by the hand, because you can go together, I'm not mean. I know how these things work. I will just pair up anyway, she won't know. I know how these things work. I'm over you. Yeah. So what I'd like you to do, if you have got your buddy, or even if there's 3 of you, please stick to no more than 3. What I'd love for you to do is walk up to another buddy set from the furthest part away of the room from where you are now. Okay? And I would love for you to actually have some deep introductions and conversations, a good conversation that lasts a good 5 minutes, and think of something like a question that you could ask. Not, damn, it's getting hot outside, isn't it? That's a rubbish question and we all know it. And it's the go-to question. And we all know it, right? Yeah. What about something like, what's your biggest takeaway from yesterday? Yeah. Or have you got yourself an action to implement when I go back to work? Because let's face it, we've already broken the ice, we've been here. Are we up for that? Yeah. Are we up for that? Yeah. Okay, just fake it. Are we up for that? you are, thank you very much for doing that. Now, I don't jump into any of those conversations because what I love doing in that moment is I listen to the energy in the room. And if you paid attention, it was, oh, serious conversation. Okay? Which is what we do. Yeah. So pay attention to that. You had the nice frivolity, the loose, the happy, the how's it going? I'm a little hungover maybe. It was a great night last night. Then you get into the serious part of it. And that's the strategic part of it. Yeah. So before you rush back and sit down, would you be okay if you said, buddy, I'll see you in about 5 minutes. And could you swap, I was going to say swap partners, that doesn't sound right. But could you swap buddies, split, and go find a new buddy set, just for 5 minutes, then Thank you so much. Now, again, listening, it was much shorter with the straight into serious conversation. You got there quicker. Did it feel quicker?
Yeah.
The is still great. That's high energy and that's brilliant. And I would never say get rid of that. But I noticed the difference. I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. And did anyone take a business card with them? You don't have one. Do you need a business card? I recently went to a networking event and I have stopped going to a lot of networking events. I'm far more strategic these days in where I go. But I recently went along to support someone and I was having a conversation with the lady and she was in my face, a bit like the poor lady was here wherever you are, thank you very much. And she was doing the sales pitch on me. And she was at me and she said, but you need this because you know your health and your well-being. And let's face it, I am spelt. But I have a reason why I am what I am, and I do hydrotherapy, and man, do I look hot in that pool. With all the obvious, just so. But she's telling me what I needed with this product that she was trying to sell me, and I was physically doing this. And she kept coming. And I was thinking, honey, bubble. Bubble, space. She was not getting it. And then she drops a cancer story on us. And I don't mean to diminish such a terrible disease or the situation she went through, but I watched this process of her then trying to still keep me going and still trying to sell at me at a networking event by using such a story. And I don't mean to diminish her story, please don't misunderstand that. But to me that was inappropriate. To me, my respect for her was, it was going pretty quick, but it dropped. And I had to say at one stage, you need to stop talking to me because I will not buy your product. And I think it's time we mingled with everyone else. You have a great night. Talk about draining. They're the situations and they're the reasons why we don't like networking. And they're probably the same sort of situations, of course, that your executives go through. I'm sure they come back and they'll say a few interesting comments about the event they've been to. Yeah, exactly. And so it's really important that we get to the heart of what true networking is about. Now you're still standing and I really, really appreciate you doing that. But what I would love for you to do is very, very quickly, this is a 15-second thing, I want you to turn back to the people you're just speaking with, thank them. And I actually want you to walk the long way back to your seat. So yes, go the long way around, back to your seat, and make sure you have eye contact and smile at people as you go. Are you up for doing that? Do you get to do a lot of networking normally? I want to challenge your thinking on that one. We have external networking, like coming to, let me think, the executive assistants network. We have this environment. But where else do you network? You actually do network more than you might realise. Internally, yeah. And I think it's important to pay attention to it. And it's also important, of course, that you pay attention to how your executive, your boss, your manager networks as well. Does that make sense? Yeah. you get the sense of what networking really is by doing that little activity. We don't really need to unplug it as a definition, do we? Are we okay with that? Yeah. This is the only slide I have up. Learning to not do death by PowerPoint. But there's a link there, which is the same as the QR code. Take a screenshot or whatever you need to do. There's 6 pages of notes there. I know I wrote a whole assignment for you. I know. Yeah. So it's there for you. It'll be there for a month so that we can participate and have conversations together. So everything I'm talking about will be on those notes for you. Are you okay with that? Now here's the thing, you do not have to give me your name, email address, DNA or a blood sample in order to get that. It's there, okay? It's a hit. What's that? That's a good, yeah, I'm not into list building, which I think my marketing people will kill me for, but if you want the content, it's there, okay? Of course, I'm saying other stuff on that page when you get there, I'm not strict. But you don't have to give me your name or your email, it's there for you, it's what we're talking about today. Okay? So, one of the things that I have noticed over the last 10 years when I speak with EAs and DAs is this term gatekeeper. Raise your hand if you know that, or you get called, or your role is often described as gatekeeper. Okay, was that a groan that went with that? Is that a reasonable thing to think? Yeah, over the years it's made me think when we use that term gatekeeper, it truly diminishes the value of you. It doesn't capture the true essence of who you are and what you do. And I actually think it's a really negative connotation. Is that fair for me to say that? Yeah, I think it is. And particularly in terms of networking, I think it's really important that you aren't a gatekeeper at all. You're the conduit. That's actually not that nice, I know. You're just awesome. Let's just say you're just awesome, yeah? But you are. You're the person who can help manoeuvre and make networking happen for you and for your executive. Now, who's heard of the 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon? We've all heard that? Yeah. Well, that's no longer enough. We need 3 or less degrees of separation for an organisation to be truly robust and survive tough times. 6 just ain't enough anymore. Sorry, Kevin, you're gone. Yeah. We actually need 2 or 3 because it's the robust organisation that has those strong connections and there's really good connectivity that we can then use that connectivity when things are really tough. The organisational chart is great, but it does not go anywhere near the value of the connections that you and your executive make. Now the word we've used is glue, but I also don't want you to get stuck. Dad joke. I don't want you to get stuck with that. I want you to not think of it as a sticking thing. I want you to think of it as a really fluid thing. When times are tough, and you think about this in your own life, work or personal, it doesn't matter, you've had people to turn to, haven't you? When something's really going wrong and really tough, there is someone to talk to. That's the connection. So, with the notepad in front of you, in the middle of it, I'd like you to write your name and maybe your executive's initials or their name, whatever you wish for you. All right, in the middle of the page. Put a little circle around it. Who knows we're heading off down a strategic networking map road right now? Has anyone done a strategic networking map? Really? Awesome. Okay, I can make anything up now, you believe me? Great. Okay. So what I would like you to do is, you know, when we think about mind maps and we have little lines that go off from the centre with more little bits happening, okay, do 5 lines coming off the centre circle of you and your executive, and then from there we'll fill in 5 areas, okay? We'll just go with 5. There's obviously going to be more. This is just an example. And in the notes, I actually give you a template. And the template is just an example. Tweak, change, and make it work for you. So here's the thing. In one of those, circles, I want you to think of either an individual or a group within your own company, your own organisation or your own department that your executive spends a lot of time with, and it's a truly valuable connection. Just do some shorthand or initials or scribble or whatever makes sense for you. Now with that, who do you know in that group? Who do you have dealings with? So it's not just about the executive, it's also with you as well. So we're going to go side by side. Need some clarity?
Yeah.
So which bit did I confuse you? In that same direction, in that same bundle, yeah. Thank you, good question. So in that same first branch, it's who the group is that your executive networks with a lot, connects with, and who in that group do you connect with a lot. So it's your relationship to that group plus your executive's relationship to that group. Is that better? Thank you for asking. Now the line that you've made between you and your executive and that group, you might want to use that line to give yourself what we call a calibration. And a calibration is simply a score out of 10. 1, this is a rubbish connection, or 10, this is a great connection, or it could be 8, we're getting there. The scoring is actually how you interpret the scoring. So give that a score. And if I said a really good connection, that's probably going to be a high score. Yeah? If it's a good connection, then it probably is a high score. Yeah.
But the exact connection that's evaluated.
It could be a very good question. It could be a strong connection, as in it does value add, or you have a really good relationship. You can go wherever you wish with it, however you interpret it. Yeah.
And if the exact connection is different to yours, would you?
You can definitely love it. On one side of that line, put his value, her, your exec's value, and on the other side of that line, put your value. Yeah. So with that first branch there, can you see a picture emerging? That score could be giving you information about how much more my executive needs to build the relationship, or the score could be how much more I need to build a relationship. Is that making sense? Yeah. Now you've got 4 more. So what I would love for you to do is think about your other connections, and I want you to think about the worst connection you have at work. The person you know nothing about, or the department you know nothing about. If they didn't appear on the annual report, you probably didn't know they existed. That sort of connection. Think about that. Put them down. It could be someone you wish you didn't know. That is a really good example. I'm going to share that. Put it down. It could be someone you don't want to know. Someone who really irritates you. Yeah. Because what score are they going to get? A low one. Which then says to you, over time, what do I need to do with that connection? I at least need to get it to a certain point where we have a respectful amount of communication. We have a respectful understanding for what we both do. Something funny?
You said, whatever you say,
Just cut them off?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, maybe.
probably not where we're going.
Might not be where we're going. Yeah. As much as we might think it and might want it. Yeah. Exactly. We're trying to build and yeah.
Could it also be analysing a situation that isn't necessary and cutting it?
Might be, yeah. But here's the thing. If your organisation goes through some really tough times, the more connectivity you have, the easier you'll get through it. And it's hard to imagine today, sitting in this room, that the person that drives you absolutely insane is the person that you'll need when the times are tough. It's hard to imagine that until it happens. Until it happens. And that's the thing. 2 or 3 degrees of separation, 2 to 3 degrees of connectivity makes an organisation robust. So even those ones that annoy us, and here's the inside clue on that. People annoy you, you annoy people. Yeah. Don't get pleasure out of that. But that's the truth. Yeah? We will not get on with everyone. Except me. I'm divine. Yeah. So what I would also like you to do now, because you're sitting next to your buddy and you've got a nice strong bond, I'd like you to have a 2-minute conversation for that 5th branch. And the conversation I'd like you to have is even more strategic. The question I would like you to answer with and for each other is, over the next month, how are we going to truly richen, improve, and grow our network? 2 minutes. Over to you. Okay. On the notes, and in the notes that you get from that link, there's a whole range of variations of ways in which you can complete this strategic networking map. Okay? There's options. And the reason why I do that is because you can create your own system. You're smart enough to do that. Have you ever noticed that when you go to a training or a workshop and they give you this really intricate system for doing something, and then a week later it's got dust on it? It was great. I was so motivated. I'm going to do this forever. And then a week later, what did you say? Yeah, I'll go back to my own habit. Yeah. So you're smart enough, you can create your own system. So in those notes, there are ways in which you can create that strategic networking map. My objective in this very short session is to get you thinking about those connections. And here's the thing, do you have an executive who has some favourite people that they like to hang out with? And it's called networking. Yeah. I want you to help your executive build the networks and nurture the networks and the connectivity with some of the other people that are probably a little bit more strategic rather than social. And that's the weird thing with networking, it feels social. So it's a fine balance in there. And share those notes with your executive. Yeah. It might be worth the two of you blocking off only 30 minutes, 20 minutes and actually sitting down and having a look at how you can make sure your executive is doing the relevant and strategic networking that they should be doing and how you can be supporting them. Yeah. There's a lot of organisations out there selling these networking, strategic skill building sessions, and they're worth having a look at. They truly are worth having a look at. So I put that to you. Now, I want to move from there into this concept of our social interactions and our level of influence, because they go hand in hand. When you're having a situation of wanting to build a network and you want to have to meet people and create a relationship and start that relationship, you often need to have some influence that goes with it. Would that be fair to say? There's lots of models of influence. I'm going to give you one that I tend to like and makes sense to me, and it's also in the notes, okay? So feel free to just look at me or feel free to scribble notes, up to you. To me, influencing takes 4 particular actions or areas in order to be really effective. And the first one is your competency. You actually need to know and be seen to know what you're doing, that you think you know what you're doing. Yeah? It's almost like the foundation. It's the admission price to being able to have a certain amount of influence with someone. It's that little bit of credibility that you need. And on the notes, I've actually added some self-coaching questions along the way for you. So asking yourself things like, how does such and such think of me or perceive me, or how do I think they perceive me as my level of competency and therefore my level of credibility, so that if I want to actually ask for their help or get them involved or try and build a sort of situation and a network or a project with them, how can that happen based on my level of competency? The second area is based on clarity. when you want to have some sort of influence with someone, if you want to be asking for some support or to create a project or to get things going, having clarity around what it is you want to do certainly helps it happen, doesn't it? Yeah. So being clear about what it is you want to achieve helps other people come on board a lot quicker. Now, if you've heard of Simon Sinek, has everyone heard of Simon Sinek and Know Your Why? Have you heard of this guy? There's a great TED talk that he's done. It's about 17 minutes, and he talks about the golden circles, and in the middle of the golden circles is the why. And this to me relates very much to having clarity around what it is you want to achieve. The how comes together with everyone else, but knowing the why of what you want to achieve is really important. TEDx, Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, is really worth watching. Yeah. The third area of influence is around relationships, which links back to the networking. Now, building those relationships, helping your executive build relationships. And it might just be reminding your executive to maybe book a coffee meeting with someone because they haven't been in touch with them for a long time. Or you connecting with other people across your organisation and asking about how their executive is going or how they're going. You'd be surprised what happens when you reach out and you say, how are things going for you? Imagine it's 3 weeks from now and you've got a little smirk on your face because you're remembering the great times at the EAN conference. And then all of a sudden the phone rings. Just ring up to see how you're going. It's been 3 weeks since you're at the conference. What did you get out of it? Imagine that phone call. Would that feel good? Would that feel, oh, someone's thought of me? Yeah. It's the handwritten card that we never do anymore, isn't it? Yeah. So, smartphones, calendar please. Everyone, open your smartphones. Open your calendar please. 3 weeks from now. Write yourself a note that you're going to contact someone and make it a phone call, not an email. You know, the old-fashioned phone thing. Make it a phone call. Block in a maximum of 10 minutes. You're going to give them a call. How are you going? It's been 3 weeks since we've been at the EAN conference in Brisbane. What have you done? What have you forgotten? What should we be redoing? Or what should we be implementing? Now, if you're on Facebook, get off. Unless you're taking photos of me. Yeah, just your calendar. Okay. Fantastic. Are you committed to doing that? I'm now putting my calendar. Are you committed to doing that? Yeah. Would you like to be on the receiving end of that phone call? Yeah. Really? I'm not feeling it. Would you really like to be on the receiving end of that phone call? Yes, this is this is so painful. At least you've got something to whinge about in 3 weeks' time. You're welcome. Exactly. Yeah, that's I'm more than happy to be your conversation starter. Go for it. So, that's relationship. It takes less time than what our brain thinks it does. It takes one question and a little bit of space of listening, rather than what our brain thinks takes us, oh, if I have to do this, and the procrastination time is 75% of wasted time. And the actual task, which is a nice task, is 25%. So thinking about that and making a commitment to doing that, and then knowing that you'll be on the receiving end of that as well, is pretty special. So we're up to the last part of having some influence, and that's about visibility. How am I seen in my organisation? Now, I heard from in Quentin's session, someone said we're just left in the corner. I'm thinking, well, that's not so visible. So that's not a really good situation. But asking yourself, how am I seen? Where do I need to be seen? How is my executive seen? Where should my executive be seen in this organisation? And that's really important because the visibility and the relationship go hand in hand. And one of the things I love about this little model of influence is that if you've got visibility and relationship really strong, if you can score yourself 10 out of 10 for those two, it's almost really quite forgiving for competence and clarity. Trust me, I'm not the brightest spark, but I've got some pretty good relationships, so when I ring up and say, I'm thinking about something like this, what do you reckon? Because the relationship is there, they're prepared to work with me and help me get clarity. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah. But I'm also prepared to be there for them. So we've only got a few minutes left. So thinking about competence, clarity, relationship, and visibility. Out of a score of 10 for each, just have a look at what you've written down. What would you give each of those for yourself? 11? Woohoo! Rocking it. Hands up if we've got 11. So we've got 44. Yay, I like it. Love the confidence. Brilliant. Yeah. Hands up if anyone's got the low 5 for something. Or just go, if you don't want to admit it. Yeah, you got, okay. That's the area you work on, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. And on those notes, there are self-coaching questions to help you work through those. Okay? Yeah. We've only got a little short time together. Is there any questions before I hand over and we have some morning tea? Seriously, nothing to ask me? Okay. Well, I want to give this to you because you've been my problem child, so thank you. Anyone now got any interesting questions? Who got their caricature done yesterday? Yeah. I said to him, is it me? I said to him, please just give me one chin. And you know what the interesting insight for me was? He said you should not necessarily point out the things that other people might not notice. Oh. I know, deep. It was awesome. So I went, oh, no chin. No one can notice my chin. I have any one chin. Anyone like a book to give to their manager when it comes to successful feedback? Yeah? That's nice. That's great. That's awesome. But I'm here and you're over there. What do you reckon it takes to get a book? Hello, how are you? There you go, there's two there. You can have that. Thank you. Why do you think I made you come to me? Because I couldn't be bothered, yes, that's probably very true. But why else did I make you come to me? Proactive, what else? Work for it, yes. What else? Visibility, yes. What else? Oh, just pictured it, not one. What else? Relationship, yeah. We just connected, didn't we? Yeah. What else? This table here, I think might be a bit quiet. What else? Energy, yeah. Very quickly, one word, and shout it all out at the same time. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think. But what's one word that's been a takeaway from this session for you? You've got 10 seconds to think. What's your one word? I didn't hear you. Do I hand back to you or do we hand over to morning tea?
You can have right over to me now. How's that sound? I'll do it together.
Thank you.
That's fine, thank you.